Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. This is the special session of the Marion City Council for Tuesday, March 26th. We'll call the meeting to order. Do we need to have the roll call? No? Okay. So the item that we have on the agenda is a public hearing concerning the fiscal year 2025 property tax rate. We have a presentation. Finance Director.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to start off this presentation by addressing the new mailing that went out this year from the Lynn County Auditor, as I do feel like it may have created some confusion on residents. So for starters, just a summary, a high-level summary of the proposed changes to levy rates by taxing jurisdiction. You will note the City of Marion does touch 3 different school districts, so all 3 are listed. So the City, Marion Independent School District, and Cedar Rapids rates themselves are decreasing while Lynn County and Linn-Mar are increasing. The next couple of slides will show that why the levy rate itself is not a great indicator of the tax. Here you can see on the property tax mailing, I showed the city, county, and school combined rates for each of Linn-Mar, Marion, and Cedar Rapids school districts, with a total in fiscal year 25 line comparing to a fiscal year 23-24 line. The change in levy for Linn-Mar is approximately 5 cents, increasing. Change in Marion Independent, a decrease of approximately 21 cents, and Cedar Rapids approximately a decrease of 88 cents. The change in taxes, however, across the board, and this is assuming 100,000 evaluation, 100% valuation, is a decrease across the board. I would also like to note that the mailing did exclude Kirkwood and other special levies, which include a tuberculosis and a couple of very small state levies, which amounted to $1.72 for fiscal year 23-24. In essence, while the state's goal ultimately is to get to a point where residents can understand exactly how their taxes are changing from one year to the other, we're not quite there with this mailing. So as the actual mailing actually showed dollar amounts, it didn't actually explain how that math calculates. So for a resident to compute their taxes on each one of the jurisdictions, they would need to take 100% of their valuation times their rollback rate, times or divided by 1,000 and times the levy rate. And I did share on the screen for the benefit of the public, the residential rollback and commercial rollback rates. And just a note for commercial valuations, the first 150,000 in value is taxed at the residential rate. So here I've kind of done the math for individuals. Again, this is assuming 100% valuation at 100,000. Obviously, if your home value fluctuated, I know mine did, it will be different, but this is how it computes to those negative 321, 334, and negative 337. Now I would like to share the specifics of the City of Marion's levy rate, as that is what we're actually here to speak on. Overall, you can see that the levy rate is decreasing from $15.03 approximately to $14.80 approximately. Looking at the property tax dollars, the growth in the general fund levy of approximately $912,715, and that's when you factor in the discontinuation of the Civic Center and library levies, is accounted for increases for inflation, wage increases to fill 2 vacant police officer positions that were left open the previous year so that we could increase wages in order to recruit officers, to complete the implementation of the compensation study, and also to upgrade a position within the fire department. The budget this year does also include some funding for Central Plaza and the mobile library, but that is largely being covered this year by hotel motel taxes. The transit levy is a small increase for the bus service contract we have with Horizons. The liability, property, and self-insurance levy is an increase to cover the city's insurance. The police and fire retirement levy covers the mandatory contribution to the municipal police and fire retirement system. The FICA and IPERS levy covers the mandatory payroll taxes and IPERS retirement benefit. And the other employee benefits levy, I did just put a list out here. The large portion of this is the health and dental insurance. I did have a resident ask specifically about what all makes up that employee benefits levy, so I did provide a list there on the screen. And then for the benefit of the public, here is the city of Marion's portion only of the levy impact across residential. And then here I'm showing if your taxable valuation stayed the same. So if you look at the column that says taxable value, you can see I have that value computed at 109,300 left unchanged from fiscal year 24 to 25. In order for that to have happened, your property would have needed to have increased 17.93%. In order for your taxes to remain unchanged, the property would have needed to have increased 19.75%. That means if your property grew in value by less than 19.75%, the portion of your city of Marion property tax bill would decrease. And then here I'm showing multi-residential and commercial property. With that, I'll turn it over back to the mayor.
Thank you. So this is a public hearing at this time. If there's anyone here to address council on this measure, please come forward. If you've completed the card, oh, you've already turned that in. Okay, thank you very much.
I have, thank you.
I appreciate it. If you could state your name and address, that'd be great. Thank you.
I'm sorry?
If you could state your name and address, that would be great. Thank you.
Oh, of course. Philip Legate, 2695 Pebble Creek Drive, Marion.
Welcome.
Well, thank you for allowing a public forum on this issue. And Honorable Mayor and City Council members, I rise in opposition to the proposed tax increases. And the primary reason is we are living in a period of high inflation. And any group, whether it be the Board of Education, the county, or the city, attempting to raise taxes is irresponsible to do that in light of a period of high inflation. We families, both retirees and workers, are having to modify our habits, our spending habits rather, in order to adapt to attempting to live within our means. Fuel, pharmaceuticals, and food prices have risen to about 200% within the last 4 years. And the families here in Marion are certainly dealing with that issue. I strongly support our first responders, but the traffic monitors, I believe, were supposed to relieve the officers of having to monitor traffic violations. Now, as a compromise, can we hire just one police officer? Can we stretch costly projects and delay them until inflation subsides, or at least we get a handle on inflation? And so in summation, perhaps it is time for city governments and other entities to modify their spending habits and attempt to live within their means. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions from Mr. Legate? Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here to address council on this matter? Please come forward. Did you have a comment? I'm sorry.
Just a comment, from a procedural standpoint, because this is the first time that we are all going through this exact process. As Leanne mentioned, this is the effects of the recent property tax legislation that the state passed last session. So this hearing today is just on the tax rate. And it's just for, we have the tax rate just for the city. So we're not covering all of them. Leanne shared that because as part of the notice that the state requires, it contains all the other taxing districts. As part of the next meeting that we'll have after this one, the council will be asked to set the public hearing for the actual overall budget. There's a number of things that, as the council knows, is from our budget workshop that we have done to make sure that we are certainly being responsible with the taxpayer dollars. So as we get further into that, that presentation will come April 18th. So this is a different format. Again, that was dictated to us by the state. So just want to make sure that was clear.
Thank you. That helps. Did you have a comment?
Yeah.
So Ryan, just to restate what you said, and I'm checking for my own understanding, obviously this is just to talk about the property tax rate that is proposed and its analyzed impact for some typical cases, but the detail that drives that we'll be addressing at our next meeting.
You will be, yes, you'll be setting the public hearing
Right.
for April 18th, during which then we'll be able to go in totality on the overall,
Right.
the final draft of the budget.
Right, okay, so
That's
this
where
is,
the number comes from. The levy rate comes from the budget that you have constructed.
That is correct. And as council knows, and we've talked about the last 2+ years now, our budget is developed from a zero base. So we start at zero and build the budget based on the needs of the city, based on the direction from the council and the projects that the council and community have asked us to prioritize. So
So we're not
it
just
is
adding a percentage every year for
Correct.
growth. We start with
We-
zero and we determine what the needs are to be able to operate the city and to provide the services of the residents. And that determines the budget, which determines the levy rate.
That's correct. And so on one of the previous slides that Leanne showed, it showed that our levy rate is actually decreasing by 23 cents. A portion of that was dictated to us by the state legislation that was passed. That was the elimination of the civic center levy and the voter approved library levy. Even without that, without those changes, because of the zero-based budgeting that we do and the growth that we've had, our levy rate would have decreased by, I think it was 6 cents, if my math's accurate. So
To be clear, our levy rate that you're proposing is decreasing, not increasing.
correct.
Just to make that clear for the public. But that doesn't speak for what other entities might be doing that are part of that tax, the total tax.
That is
bill.
correct. So
Okay.
Leanne mentioned in her presentation, there's an overall property tax rate
Yes.
that takes ours and the various other taxing entities and rolls it into one. So we are only talking about the city of Marion's levy rate.
And that's the only one we have control over.
That's correct.
Okay. The public hearing is still open if anyone wants to address council. Yes. Mr. Knutson, please state your name and address.
Charlie Knutson, 2835 24th Avenue, Marion, Iowa. I appreciate having the opportunity to speak today. Couple comments. My assessed value of my house has gone up 35,700. So you'd think my tax would be going up quite a bit. Well, with the rollback feature going down, and you're looking at the proposed rates for the city, the county, the school, and given Kirkwood 3% and the other taxes 1%. If you factor all that stuff in, my taxes are gonna be changing about $5. So when you look at it, you look at the percentages of what your taxes are gonna be, what the levies are, you gotta look at the whole picture, and I hope more people can get a better understanding, or if the city can find a way to better educate the public of how all the different parts of the levy are put together and how the rollback offsets the assessed value increases. I've had a lot of people chirping at me saying our taxes are gonna go up big time. I think there'll be some increase. I get a little break because I get the 65-year-old credit, which is $3,250, and it's gonna go to, I think, $6,500 next year. That helped a little bit. That probably saved me about $130. If without that, my taxes would go up. But when you look at $130 from the scheme of things for the services that the city gives us and the quality they give us, I don't have any complaints. I thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. Were there any comments received outside the meeting? Ask the city clerk that, please.
Yes, we received two in advance of the meeting. Tim Gordon wrote in opposition of the Central Plaza project. And then Patricia Otis called and said she received her tax notice today from the county and was dissatisfied with that there was not more time between when she received it and when the public hearings were.
Okay. So
I have not received any outside of the ones Rachel just shared.
thank you. And have we met the time requirement? Okay. We'll ask one more time if there's anyone here to address council on this matter. Please come forward before we close the public hearing. Okay, so just to be clear, this is, there's no decisions made today. This is just the public hearing. And then we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and open a new meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, we need to adjourn.
Procedurally, you'll need to adjourn this
Okay,
meeting.
yeah.
We'll go through the motions and then we'll
Alright.
go through the motions to call to order the following meeting.
Okay, so do we need a motion to adjourn the meeting? Or we can just like normal? The meeting is now adjourned.